Okay, let's hear what Jay-Z has to say about capitalism.
Yeah, we're not gonna stop. This the hip hop is young. We still growing, and we're not falling for that technology, whatever you know this public puts out there now. That before was the American dream. Pull yourself out of bootstraps, and you can make it in America. All these lies that America told us our whole life. Um, and then when we start getting it, they try to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like capitalist and things like that. I mean, we've been try
What?
to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like America told us our whole life. Um, and then when we start getting it, they try to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like capitalist and things like that. I mean, we've been called nigger and monkeys and shit. I don't care. Those words y'all come up with, y'all got to come up with stronger words. When I say y'all, I'm not talking about you. The words they come up with, they got to come up with stronger words. We're not gonna stop. We're not gonna be tricked out of our position. Y'all lock this out. Y'all.
He's saying. I mean, I don't know what he's like technically responding to. I don't know who he's responding to or what he's responding to. But like, well, one, obviously, capitalism is not a new word that was invented, and it certainly was not invented as a pejorative against, people generating black wealth. Look at what you did to the city you came from, bitch. Okay, everybody, chill. I mean, he is also a multi-billionaire, so
Created a system that doesn't include us. We said fine. We went our alternate route. We created this music. We did our thing. We hustled. We fucking killed ourselves to get to this space. And now it's like eat the rich and think, man, we're not stopping. So that evolution is from us.
I don't get it. Like the Jay Z claiming that, like, I mean, I guess maybe he's talking about like people on Black Twitter that are criticizing him or something, because like the eat the rich or capitalism as like a pejorative is not necessarily exclusively towards like people who have been able to escape intergenerational poverty and systemic racism. Not just black people. Jay-Z was really on that space crying about us calling him a capitalist. He is. Then tried to say that calling black rich folks capitalists is similar to the N-word Lamau.
We came from selling 7 records and selling records out our trunk, and no radio play. And I think Reasonable Doubt did 36,000 the first week or something like that. I may be adding a little to it. So we come from I come from Marcy Projects. In my first house, 615 Lexington Avenue, my grandmother's house, 7 families lived. Like, she has 7 kids. My mother and
It's such a weird thing because, like, does anyone even ever think of Jay-Z when you think about like shitty billionaires? Like, I mean, he's just basically saying like, no, I do actually, I should be associated with the shitty billionaires. Which I think of in a weird way. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I think of like he grew class consciousness now that he's rich. I mean, that's what happens to every rich person. Come on.
my parents and siblings lived in that house. My aunt Nisi lived in that house. Hootie lived in that house. Butchie lived in the basement. I mean, this is one house. I went back to that house. I did an interview with Oprah, and I couldn't believe how small this house was. That all of us lived in that house. So again, that evolution that you speak of, it's just real, and it's happening in real time, and I'm talking about it. And we're not going to stop, and we're not going to stop talking about it. They're not going to trick us out of and make us feel ashamed to be successful in a place that you know set up a system for us to be dead at 21. um,
He tried to set up a class on crypto and Marcy projects. No shot. Jay-Z's Bitcoin school met with skepticism in his former housing project. I don't have money to be losing. The hip-hop mogul loves to rap about his roots in Brooklyn's Marcy housing projects, but classes in cryptocurrency show the billionaire is out of touch, residents say. Dude, what the fuck? I mean, just it's hard. It's hard when you have a lot of money. Apparently, he's overworking his dispensary employees, cutting benefits, paying a dime over minimum wage. Yeah. The real people that actually shame rappers for having like profound amounts of financial success are usually just like other old rich white people who don't like that, there's I don't know. The subreddit has more context on why people aren't down with this rant of his. Jay-Z bites back at eat the rich rhetoric. We are not going to be tricked out of our position. I mean, it's just not gonna dinner with Jay-Z or Jay-Z for dinner. It's not gonna listen, this is awful. When you're a rich person, like you can't staying in touch with normal people when you have that much money is hard because the hallmark of the normal experience is a multitude of varying deprivations. Yes. 100%. 1,000,000%. And I say this as someone who is also, nowhere near as wealthy as Jay-Z, obviously, contrary to what fucking Twitch chat thinks. But like I say this as someone who is not that far removed personally from my own personal experience of like struggling to having a lot of affluence, right? One thing that I've talked about before, time and time again, is like one of the greatest examples is when you're fucking flying somewhere and you have to fly somewhere for work or whatever. You're getting absolutely fucking cumpstered and dumpstered and treated like cattle by the airlines, right? That's a consequence of the oligopoly. Shouts out to Ronald Reagan. Okay? Even that is a part of the normal person experience that like weighs on your consciousness. You live with that fucking almost shame and nuisance. That's just one example out of many different examples. When you are at least wealthy enough to be able to fucking buy business, you get to pass everybody. You don't have to worry about like your baggage and shit like that in a similar capacity. You're not boarding last on a flight. All of a sudden, even that has removed one of the normal nuisances and one of the normal, awful experiences, traumatic experiences, I would even go so far as to say, out of your daily routine. Now, times that by 1,000,000, okay? Because Jay-Z's real life experiences are fundamentally different than the average person. Never thinking about a fucking bill. He's never going to get fucked over. He has a team of litigators that can handle everything. He has hired incredibly competent people who are insanely rich to deal with his issues. He doesn't have that same bullshit. He doesn't have anything weighing him down. So when you pop off like this, when you are a tremendously wealthy person, when you pop off like this, normal people are going to look at that and go, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Trying to shield away from criticism, trying to deflect criticism towards you being out of touch by claiming that, like, by using blackness as a shield to be like, well, they're doing this because I'm a rich black person is the worst possible thing you can do, especially when people... Well, weirdly enough, I think you having to interact with a chat of 30K of us dumbass brokies helps. I mean, that's one part of it. But ultimately, like I was saying, using blackness as a shield away from, or a way to deflect away from adequate criticism of like a rich guy being out of touch is ironically and inherently out of touch. Why? Because people are going to look at that and go, okay, well, you just sound like an out-of-touch guy. No one's going to look at that and go, yeah, you're right, King. You're actually right. You're spitting truths. Everyone's just going to be like, no, dude, you're rich now. You're just a rich guy. Because in the real world, for a lot of real human beings, this is what I talk about all the time, class will often supersede race. Class is a more dominant and better indication of your privilege than your race will be in that circumstance. It's the difference between a homeless white person and Oprah, right? Out of 100 people that you ask, like, no one is going to say Oprah's in a worse position overall than the homeless person. You can talk about the steps that Oprah took to be able to get to that position, right? And that's fine. And that's true. You can compare Oprah to other billionaires and talk about how more privileged other billionaires are, right? Being broke, living comfortably in your parents' house, and coming out from the hood, fighting for your life and feeling like it'd be taken away from you any moment because of your race is different, shaking my fucking head. No, I think that his lived experience definitely shrouds, or rather clouds his judgment. But aren't you out of touch with respect to some other people because you got more money now? Yes. No, I just explained why I am. Yes. It's something that I'm very aware of. And yes, your race is directly connected to your wealth generation. Yes. That's why I said you have to look at it in a situation like that. You have to look at people within that same class. Even if you're not going to think about class from a Marxist perspective, but class in a capitalist perspective, like middle class. A middle class black family is worse off than a middle class white family. If their economic positioning is exactly the same, a middle class black family, and there's empirical evidence for this, is still going to be in a way worse position than a middle class white family. However, when you talk about like a profoundly wealthy black person, especially when you're saying like, well, these kinds of criticisms launched against me are actually racist. Yeah, I mean, they're probably, some of which probably is, right? When you're talking about Jay-Z, like defending the system, saying that like, you're just coming at it, you're coming against us, because we've been able to make it out the hood and overcome overcome a tremendous amount of intergenerational violence. It's not the case. I mean, this is just going to cause people to hate him more, by the way. So there's that as well. Jay-Z knows damn well that Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers were anti-capitalist. You could listen to any Fred Hampton speech or even watch that Daniel Kaluuya movie and understand that. He just doesn't care, and he's assuming his fans either don't know or don't care. I think he's just really rich. He's just a very out-of-touch rich guy. That's it. I mean, dude, you don't need to show anything other than this, okay? When you want to understand where Jay-Z's coming from, when you want to understand how out of touch Jay-Z is as a consequence of being a profoundly wealthy individual, okay? I mean, he's a billionaire, and there's nothing that says you are a billionaire who doesn't get it than this article itself. A Bitcoin school for people living in Brooklyn's Marcy housing projects. Because in his world, like now, it seems like he's forgotten his roots, because in his world now, it's just like, you of course you have capital. What do you mean? Who doesn't have some side cash to lose in cryptocurrency? I mean, this is so out of touch. Kamala Harris or like the Biden White House would advocate for some shit like this. You know what I mean? You're really fucking slandering this man. You sound mad white defending this shit. Like, you gotta stop. Jay-Z was poorer than the Chat ever was in the worst neighborhoods. Like, why are we acting like just because he's rich, he doesn't understand shit? I fuck with you, but you never grew up black and poor. You can't explain why a black person can't see racism in them having money as opposed to the love rich white people get. Bro, what are you talking about? This is a fucking leftist community. They eat my ass for having wealth. What the fuck do you mean? I'm already acknowledging that the way to become as profoundly successful and as profoundly wealthy as Jay-Z as a black person is infinitely larger a struggle. And I'm sure he gives back a lot more than just this. But this in and of itself is, you know, it's billionaires of course give back. What the fuck are you talking about? Dude, this shit sucks so bad when you say this. Like, what do you mean? Your haters be like, at this point, hasn't he been rich longer than he's been broke? I mean, I think so.
You got black Christmas, you got black brown all day, you got black April Fool, ain't here toward nobody but black businessmen. And I say that anybody that comes into our community and does in any type of situation that does not meet the needs of the masses, then I, Chairman President of the Black Panther Party, says that I catch that nigga by his collar neck and beat him to death with a Black Panther paper. We not doing it.
Here's another, you know, profoundly impactful artist and his takes of about capitalism.
There's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for 36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own.
Bro, if you ever reach this level of fame in the leftist movement, I will be your personal meat shield. I don't give a fuck. I will fly in front of 7 million bullets, lol. Thank you. Bro, I'm sure Jay-Z also, as every rich person does, probably does a lot to like uplift the working class, especially black neighborhoods. Okay? Problem is, even when he's doing that, if he's like still defending the system or saying that people criticizing him are people calling him capitalist, criticizing him for being wealthy, are you know, doing it because they're racist, when it's most likely black Twitter. I'm
So
sure there's
Jay-Z-
like I'm sure there are racist white people that say that shit too, because like they just hate that the black people are super wealthy now, right? Anyway, let's finish the Tupac video real quick. Sorry, I'm gonna run it back.
Starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants. We all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't mean he was bad. Or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million. $32 million. And this person has nothing. And you can sleep. You can still go to the movies about, and then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. It's too much.
That's awesome. Also clips of Tupac reading Stalin. Wait. Yeah, he was a part of the Youth Communist League, right? The Young Communist League. When he lived in Baltimore, Maryland. Tupac Shakur. Yeah. All right, let's see what this take is.
Is the perfect example of the problem with displaying yourself as a revolutionary and liberator type of figure, but you don't read any books, you don't engage in any theory whatsoever, and you don't know what you're talking about. Because this dude went on Twitter, in a Twitter space, and said that being called a capitalist is the same as getting called the N-word and a monkey. Because people created the term capitalist to stop black people from getting to a certain amount of money and wealth. And it sounds like the dumbest take you've ever heard, because it is the dumbest take you've ever heard. That's not true whatsoever. He literally just made that up. Made it up out of thin air. I don't know where he got that from at all, because that's not even close to being true, right? But that's what happens when you display yourself as a liberator and a revolutionary, right? And this is the same dude that has dropped Fred Hampton's name multiple times in songs. But if Fred Hampton heard you say that, he'd probably slap you in the mouth for that. Cause what? What are you talking about? You sound absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. This is what happens when you don't read. You have to read books. You have to engage in theory. Please.
I think like reading, there's no amount of theory that will change Jay-Z's worldview though. Cause like, I mean, he already has baked in class consciousness at this point. You know what I mean? And for people who are saying like, Hasan, sit your white ass down and listen or whatever. Like it's just, he has class consciousness. He recognizes his class position, and he's just using regular methods of deflection. There might be a shred of truth in there with respect to other white rich people saying Jay-Z does not deserve his wealth or whatever the fuck. But ultimately, you're only saying that because you don't read law? Man, shut the fuck up, bitch. Most people have been conditioned to see capitalism as a compliment. Nowadays, he says it was created as an insult. Yeah, I just...
Please, like seriously, you cannot.
I mean, I don't disagree with the whole reading thing. I mean, it is good. Reading theory is good.
Play yourself as this liberator for the black community, as a revolutionary for the black community, and you just don't read any books, don't engage in any theory, because you say stuff like this, and it's like, wow, this dude is really dumb, right? And at the same time, this dude is saying this with an NFT PFP, right? Like, it's insane. It's crazy. It's like, bro, if you don't know where to start, I mean, I would recommend this book. This is like a great starting point if you want to like get into theory, if you want to like have a slow entry point into socialism, into Marxism. I mean, it is a pretty good book, but like, yeah, like you cannot display yourself as a liberator type of figure and then say stuff like capitalism was created to stop black people from gaining this amount of money. What are you talking about? You talking about some being called a
I don't think it's because I don't think it's because Jay-Z hasn't like read anti-capitalist material. I think it's because I think Jay-Z is very smart. I think he is super fucking smart. I think he knows what he's doing. That's my take. I think the nefarious there's more of an underlying nefarious purpose behind his words. And the underlying nefarious purpose is to serve you the top of the hour ad break at the top of every hour, obviously, and then tell you that if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. Yeah, a nefarious ad that was served. You need to be smart to fool people into thinking that shitty discontinued champagne is actually fancy by wrapping the bottle in gold foil. Business smart doesn't make you smart altogether. That goes for you too. Bro, I am not a smart person, but I'm certainly not a business smart person. Anyway, Gorbo Nikon, thank you for the 5, get the subs. Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago maid, thank you for the 5, get the subs. There's the 1 minute ad break now, by the way. So it is the personalized wealth accumulation for the culture, in my opinion. No, I think that it's the reason why he's saying that is because he wants to deflect away from the criticism. But like, what you think like all that criticism that's being launched towards Jay-Z, especially in like Black Twitter and whatnot, and there are a lot of communists on Black Twitter. Every single one of them has at some point called me racist. Okay, every single one. But you know they're what they say they're right, not on the racism part, but on the communism thing. Okay, but like there are plenty of people who are hypercritical of leaders within the Black community, and you know, and are themselves Black. I think like Jay-Z, probably as every billionaire does, is super philanthropic, right? I'm sure he gives back millions, right? Impossible not to. You have to buy some good. You at that point, it's partially because you know having that kind of wealth weighs on your consciousness, but I think partially it also. What? Bro, I hate white leftists speaking on what obtaining capital means to Black people. Sorry, we don't have intergenerational wealth. Us obtaining capital is liberation from poverty we were forced into. Why are you yelling at me? I'm barely giving my perspective on the matter because I understand what it looks like from the optics point. Is it because you can't yell at all the Black figures that I'm fucking showing that are doing the criticism? Is that the reason? Like, why? Why is everybody immediately jump on that? I'm also quite literally recognizing that the differences, like Killer Mike is a great example, right? Killer Mike has a lot of base takes, right? Understands American imperialism, understands the crack epidemic, understands CIA's involvement, but then still turns around and talks about Black capitalism. I get it. But like, I don't know what to tell you. If you think Jay-Z has your best interest in mind more than I do, then I did. Yeah, okay, sure. I'm sure he does. I cannot believe it. There is an FD signifier video that is shorter than 7.5 hours, by the way. I guess this is the channel, the signified B-sides channel, where he does actually have videos that are watchable on stream because they're not 7 hours like Lord of Rings extended trilogy cut.
I had a tweet pop off a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it.
What was the tweet? Let's look. Sorry, I just got to see it. I don't hate Bay and Jay, but criticism of them as hyper-capitalists are completely valid, and Beyonce just wiping Kelly's from her album instead of using her power to confront the injustice Kelly's face is a microcosm of the problem.
A couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't because I got so wrapped up in this video, and so I wanted to try to address it here. So everybody knows Beyonce dropped Renaissance about a month.
Hasan, you got to understand black people are hesitant of white allies, so you should hear their criticism and understand their struggle. Man, I know that already. Shut the fuck up. I know. Well, I know.
Ago maybe. Aside from, Renaissance.
I know that. I don't know what you want me to do, okay? I'm white, okay? Do you not want me to talk about this? Is that what it is? You want me to stop talking about this? You want me to stop showing you black thinkers on the subject? Is that what you want?
This is dope. Love the album. Maybe my favorite Beyonce album. I'm not like the biggest Beyonce fan, but I've liked all of her albums since Beyonce. I think that was the self-titled joint. It's not Bass slander. I want to be very clear. This is not Beyonce slander. Okay? I can't have the Divestors and the Bayhive coming after me at one time. But it's more so like an argument that Beyonce is representative of. One of the major issues coming out of Beyonce's the album release was the whole thing with Khalees. And to kind of rehash it real quick, Beyonce sampled a Khalees song and did all the appropriate things to get the rights to sample the song.
Why the fuck are you giving comments like that attention? Because, one, I don't have that many black chatters in this community. Let's be fucking real, okay? That's number one. It's like 7%, right? I think. And two, on top of that, these are long-term community members. So, you know what I mean? They're long-term community members that are chiming in. So, I do value their perspective a little bit more. When you're a long-term community member and you come in here and you fucking pop off. Yep, and we lose more in these combos, law. I know, but I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm being very careful with my words regardless. And I think people just like get mad because they get hyper focused on the optics and misunderstand what I'm saying.
In the music industry at the time, Khalees does not get paid for sampling her songs. So she didn't get, like, every time you make a song, the song is split in a billion different ways to pay all the people that's supposed to get paid, because you made the beat and you used this inspiration from another song and you wrote this part and you wrote the hook and yada yada yada. It's complicated, and everybody has to sign contracts to say who gets what and who gets what when, for how long and how much. And for the longest in the music industry, the actual artists, especially if they were black and black women, black men in hip hop, black artists in general, were the quickest to get screwed out of fair shares to the art that they were creating. It'd be different if it was a singer who just sung a song, didn't write it, didn't produce it, didn't make the track, like didn't do anything, just came in and sung it, right? It'd be different if you said, okay, you don't get any of these parts because you're just a performer, so you get a performance fee. I still think that's whack, but at least that makes sense. In Khalees's case, and in so many of these other cases, especially for rappers and like the singer-songwriter types, they were writing the songs, writing the music, putting together all these things, and all of that stuff, all that labor that they did would go to essentially whoever held the means of production. You feel me? You see where I'm going with this? And so many musicians, this is what happened to going back to TLC. This is why they were like 10 times platinum and broke. because they weren't getting any money off of the sale of their content. Most K-pop artists, probably, yes. Thank you, Bellamy. Like K-pop is, I think, like the number one culprit probably right now for this in the world, because they're the only ones really selling like huge, moving huge units. So essentially, this is a like perfect microcosm of the exploitation of a worker being alienated from their work. It is a perfect microcosm
because the music industry is one of the greatest examples of a incredibly hyper exploitative industry. So you see that exploitation because oftentimes the people that you love the most, these artists, are the workers themselves that are creating that product and not necessarily seeing the fruits of their labor, not necessarily seeing the many benefits of the art that they create. It's a perfect example of how there is no value without labor, right? Same with sports too. That's why I like covering those things as well regularly.
Of why of Marxism. It's a perfect microcosm for shit like that, right? And so the reason why, so I put out a tweet, and the tweet basically said, all respect due to Jay-Z and Beyonce. But something that still holds true in the Black community is this reference of Jay-Z and Beyonce as revolutionary in some regard, as being good because of their immense wealth that they've amassed, as Black excellence. It's basically a Black excellence case study to some folks, where they say that Beyonce and Jay-Z becoming really rich, becoming billionaires, is what Black communities need to do. We need to get our own capital, control our own, markets, control our own economic destiny, and that is what will lead us to liberation, yada, yada, yada. And they point to the fact that Jay-Z and Beyonce have funded all these things on the low and bailed people out of jail and supported Black Lives Matter, all this good stuff, right, on the low, which is cool, nice. But the thing that is missed is, I just saw somebody say, fam, they still billionaires. And at the end of the day, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not Black. They are Black bourgeoisie. They are Black billionaires. And they don't move with the intention of liberation anymore. They don't. And this situation, what the aftermath of this was a perfect example of this. When the drama came out, and so yes, you could point out that Khalees was not respectful, right? If you want to tone police, you can say, oh, Khalees was mean to Beyonce, so Beyonce didn't have to do nothing, yada, yada, yada. Beyonce, who is arguably the most powerful woman in music right now. I don't know enough about the true nature of the music industry to say, like, I'm sure there's some old white woman from Germany that is more powerful than Beyonce in the music industry. But Beyonce is at least top 3. Beyonce single-handedly changed the way music was released in 2013, when music used to be released on Tuesdays, and Beyonce said, nope, the real time to do it is Friday. It's at midnight. And that's when it's been ever since. Instead of Beyonce using the immense power and wealth and influence that she has to put pressure on Pharrell, even just an announcement, Khalees is right. The contract she signed when she was 19 was exploitative, and she deserves a piece of the art that she made that she has not been able to profit off of. And we need to do better. Something, whatever it is, something that light wouldn't have been like ideal, but it would have been at least an argument in support of the fact that when you get rich Black people, they use their influence to support liberation. That would have at least done something. Beverly says all she had to do was lean on that nigga, poke him, something. That would have supported the argument that it's Black excellence that's going to save Black people. But she didn't do that. What Beyonce did was just take Khalees's piece off the song. And so what that does is that kills the issue. Because there's no issue now, there's no conflict. And a week after that, we had the shit with Irv Gotti and Ashanti, and it's the same thing. And this is why Beyonce and Jay-Z didn't agitate the situation. They didn't push the envelope how they should have, especially considering the power they have. They didn't push the envelope here because they know that if they advocate for Khalees to get the rights to her art, woo, Jay-Z and all his boys got to come up off bags. All of them do. Because all of the,
Isn't he saying Beyonce should do what people tell you to do sometimes? Like the you should do more type of shit? I mean, I'm not involved in a fucking labor dispute, though. You have to understand that. That's a little bit different than that, you know? But yes, if you're comparing me to Beyonce, then yes, it's true. Except I do all of that. The things that people routinely criticize me for not doing are things that I'm already doing. That's oftentimes the main problem. Main point of contention is that I'm already doing that shit. They're just unaware of it, so they fucking chirp nonstop like I'm not doing it. You know, also because it gives them a little bit of clout. Oftentimes, the people that are like, you're not doing enough, are also trying to do the same shit that I'm doing. Unaware? What?
The biggest hustle in hip hop, especially in the 90s and 2000s, wasn't to release your own records and release your own music, but it was to sign other artists and own their music. It was legit, just straight up capitalism. It was
like Beyonce brushing the problem under the rug instead of actively fighting to make a larger point about black artists being exploited is capitalist solidarity. That's what FD Signifier is saying, and I think that that's true. Because, once again, when you get to a certain level, of immense wealth, you're super class conscious, okay? You recognize that the system has allowed you to flourish in a way, and you kind of don't want that to be disrupted. I get it. You know, I understand where that comes from. But also, no matter what happens, like, you are still, when you compare me to something, when you compare me to someone like Beyonce or Jay-Z, like, I don't know what to tell you. You're literally, like, I mean, these people are at the tippy top of society, of the food chain. You know, that's crazy. The black bourgeoisie discovers its historical mission as intermediary. As we have seen, its vocation is not to transform the nation, but to prosaically serve as a conveyor belt for capitalism, forced to camouflage itself behind the mask of neocolonialism. Your proof that you are not on the same level as Jay-Z and Beyonce is that they have no idea who you are. It's that simple. Yeah. I mean, that's
owning the means of production, not actually working. Memphis Bleak, Freeway. Put them in the chat, y'all. Put them in the chat. Memphis Bleak, Freeway, Chris and Neef, Black Rob under Puffy. Like, so many of our favorite rappers or favorite rap songs in that whole era, so many of our favorite rap songs from my era, right? These dudes did not get no money. These dudes died. A lot of these dudes, Black Rob died broke. Craig Mack died broke. Puffy's one of the worst ones. So many of them. So many of them. And they're all telling their stories now. Like, you can't go a week without a rapper from the 90s and early 2000s talking about how insert hip hop legend here, insert black excellence, black billionaire here, jerked them out of money by making them sign a contract and not renegotiating the contract to get some of that money back. So all of these people were doing this in the 90s and 2000s, and Khalees is just one of many. Khalees is just
The same inherently exploitative dynamic that exists under all facets of capitalism, of course, exists within the black community as well. But because blackness is a form of solidarity, an understandable and immediate and inescapable form of solidarity, because there is no escaping blackness. You're black. That's it, right? That's how it was written. That's how it was designed, one drop rule and all, that people have a pretty easily defined, easy to understand sense of community that comes from the intergenerational struggle and violence that they have been subjected to and still are subjected to in contemporary society. Okay? But having said that, those very same dynamics also exist within the black community, obviously, and using the intergenerational struggle and the sense of solidarity within the black community that exists within the black community as a way to deflect away from any kind of criticism that might come towards you as a capital owner, as a bourgeois person, is, you know, unfettered neoliberalism. That is a neoliberal tactic. That does not mean that, like, rich black people are not oppressed in any meaningful capacity. Of course they are, right? In comparison to other rich white people, they certainly are, right? And when I mention this, some people get icky because they're like, oh, here's a white guy saying things about black people. But that is the reality. And that is a neoliberal method of deflection. That's why I got to eat to get a stream with Hasan, FD, and Fantano. I will have FD Signifier on.
music landlords. Thank you. Where did it go? That was perfect. Music landlords. That's basically what it is. And so the whole point of me talking about this is not to denigrate Beyonce, disrespect Beyonce in general, or Jay-Z explicitly, but to just point out that, and to quote Kim Foster, we are not going to LLC ourselves to liberation. Get your money. I know I'm getting my money. I be talking to folks on the low. A lot of black creators I connect with. I'm like, yo, don't let them demonetize your shit. If you can hold off and get that monetized, do it. Cause like we still got to eat. I'm not saying give up your checks, but that's for labor. That's for a creation I made. I'm not about to start, like, one of the first things I had people telling me when I started like getting serious and big, people said, yo, you know, the real money in YouTube is to start a network under you as an umbrella. I'm like, you mean a record label, my nigga? A YouTube record label? You want me to be Suge Knight on YouTube? Death Row videos? But it's true. And there's people out there that do it. You know, you look at like the Fine Brothers were one of the main culprits of that. You can start a whole bunch of channels under an umbrella and get a whole bunch of people employed and make a lot more money for a lot less effort. You too can be a capitalist if you want. But understand, if that's what you do, don't try to make your capitalist grind into some type of liberation ethos, because it's not. It's not.
I mean, you are liberating yourself. That's it. In that circumstance, you're not liberating anybody else in that situation. What? Nice link, brother. Linked it well.
Now, I try to mean this as respectfully as possible, but there's something extremely gross about a black entrepreneur trying to weaponize their racial oppression in order to justify price gouging the black community, the very community that goes through the exact same racial oppression as they do. And what makes just as much sense is when y'all try to use white folks as an excuse on why you should be able to price gouge your own community, when white folks is the reason why you are racially oppressed in the first place. But since y'all want to talk about it, then let's talk about it. The average white woman in this country has an annual salary of about $48,000. Okay? That's about $1,800 a check. Do you honestly want me to believe that the average white woman is paying $1,500 to get their hair done when their check is only $1,800? That is literally over 80% of their check. If you are actually out here thinking that white women are taking 80% of their checks and dedicating that to their hair as if they don't have any other responsibilities out here, baby, that is between you and whoever you pray to. Now let's move on to black women. The average black woman in this country has an annual salary of about $40,000 a year, okay? And that's about $1,500 a check. Y'all actually think it is realistic to ask black women to pay $1,500 for braids when that is literally their check? No bills, no car notes, no mortgages, no rent, no other responsibilities, just you and your chair, right? Also, slapping luxury on a service to justify trying to charge $1,000 for it is plain lazy as fuck. Because luxury is not even defined by the service itself. It's defined by the process of the service. And what exactly do y'all be adding to the process of getting your hair braided to justify it being luxurious? Because the most y'all accommodate with y'all clients is TV and water. And y'all don't even wash hair. How the hell is this luxury? So yeah, that's why me personally, when y'all be trying to weaponize your racial oppression and
Is that how expensive it is? What the fuck?
weaponize white folks in order to justify price gouging as a black person towards your own community, yeah, that's why I don't feel like that shit makes sense. Nah, I try to mean
Black hair is expensive? I fucking had no idea. Fuck, bro, because it takes so long. That's why I cut my own hair. We got a little taste of something I'd never know about. Yep, that's why I try to learn and do my own, and it's hell. God damn. Reasonable for braids like 500 max. It's been way above that since like 2010. Bro, even $500 is insane, dude. What the fuck? Close the door to black people business now? Wait, I didn't know this. I did not know this at all. I mean, I have 0 black friends with braids. So we've never had this conversation. There's a joke amongst black women. You can be productive or you can do your hair. It's so much fucking expensive and takes so much time. Good braids done at that price will stay in for a long time. Black hair business is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Guys, people in the chat that speak is like 1% of the overall watchers, okay? So yes, it might come across like despite 7% of the community being black, there's a lot of people that are chiming in with personal experience because at any given moment, there's only 1% talking. Had my hair in locks for 12 years now because I was over getting my hair done. 0.7%. Wait, is it 0.7%? Or are you making that up? Wasn't it? Wait, what's the percentage? I don't remember. I thought it was like 7 or 8%, which I thought was like obviously low, but The rise of the Instagram stylists has made some stylists charge super high prices. Capitalism, baby. Read me. In New York, some more expensive salon costs 250 plus, but if you go to an African woman-owned salon, it's 100. Okay, that number is way more manageable to understand. First of all, for all the dudes in the chat, women's hair is just also across the board more expensive than men's hair. So there's that too. Like for a dude, you could just go to like a Supercuts or something and get like a fucking $12, $20 haircut or whatever. Women can't do that. That's not a thing. Like women's hair is also insanely expensive in comparison to dude hair. But from what I understand, and I did not know this, white women's hair is, while expensive, nowhere near as expensive as what you guys are telling me about black women's hair. And I did not even know this. You don't have black friends? I mean, I have zero. I mean, you didn't even cut it right, you fucking idiot. No, I said I have zero black friends with long hair or with braids. You didn't even clip chimp it right, dummy. Don't ever touch a black woman's hair. Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, no shit. Yeah, a lot of my black friends have short hair or are bald. My man says Supercuts Lamau. No wonder black viewership is low. Yeah. 6.9% black. Oh. It's 6 to 9% black or 6.9% black? Oh, it is 6.9. Okay, so 7%. I was right. Hasan never had a black girlfriend confirmed. I've never had a long-term black girlfriend. Like an official. This is what happens when you cover Crowder for all of Black History Month. Okay, dude. You're like the few white leftists that don't sound like utter trash. You need to have Gideon reach out to Kai. What do you mean? I can reach out to Kai.
I love Beyonce. I love Jay-Z. Both legends. I love the music. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not hearing anybody that is trying to model any idea around black progress based off of getting money, getting the LLC. Because I know so many, like I'm in Atlanta, y'all. I've said this before. I know a lot of black bourgeoisie folks that's getting money, but they getting money in ways I'm like, ooh, you just a black version of another exploiter to a lot of these folks. That's all you are, you know. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that. I want to clarify that because some people made it seem like, and I understand why. I mean, it's a Twitter hot take, and that's what Twitter hot takes are meant to do. And
this is Guyanese, which is Afro-Caribbean. Yeah, but she's not black. Like, that doesn't count. Does not have like 4C hair or anything like that. You know what I mean?
They were saying like I was expecting Beyonce to be the savior of music. And no, like I'm not expecting Beyonce to save music. I'm just saying she could have did more than nothing. She could have did more than nothing. And that would have been indicative of this argument about love that one. Hustling isn't praxis. It could have been more than this argument about how black people with money is going.
You can be Guyanese. You can be Guyanese and not black. You can be you're like Suriname and Guyana. Like these kinds of Caribbean colonies were insanely diverse. like it's a mixture. There's for obvious reasons, reasons such as slavery and the slave trade. So there's like Indian people, there's other Asian subgroups as well, black people in there. So just because someone is a Guyanese doesn't mean that they're automatically they're they're Caribbean and therefore Afro-Caribbean or black. Same with Cuba as well. South America is a very interesting place. Not all black people are 4C. That's certainly true. I just that as an example of her hair, which was not even remotely. I'm black and not 4C, by the way. Okay, but her hair is not even remotely curly at all. Her hair was closer to like an Indian person's hair. Go to the African slave trade went to South America. There's 20 million more African descendants in South America than North.
Going to, save Sud Signifier.
Not Hossie dusting off the old eugenics textbooks. Wait, what? We're talking about race in South America. There's no way to talk about it other than talking about it. What the fuck do you mean, dude? Us black people watching HasanAbi extra close today? Yeah. Foresee yourself out of this convo. Listen, we're done. We opened the door to black people's business, albeit for a brief moment, and we're closing it. Okay, we're closing it behind us. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear from anybody at all. Okay, I think I covered this as delicately as I could without everybody fucking chirping at me. Okay. The funniest part about this. Well, we're not done with black people business actually, because we are going to look at O Block, but let me just say something, okay? Let me just say something. If you're in here, motherfucker, you know what my worldview is, so shut the fuck up. I already get enough of that outside on Twitter, okay? Black Twitter already eats my ass in the fucking QRTs anytime some shit happens because of all the black stand-ums that I have encountered in a negative way. So shut the fuck up. If you're in here, this is a safe space for both you and for me, okay?